feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him. It's over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
Citadel baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giants. Get the ball to Bennett.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
Early again. Greetings and a good Friday morning, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Causes, not just cases. MotleyRice.com, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at StokesVW.com. Make sure that you have downloaded the JB and Goldwater app. It's free. And when you do that, you can watch us in the app. You can listen in the app. You can comment in the app. You can buy gear for your favorite program or organization, professionally or collegiately, with our partner, Vintage Brand, on the app. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do there. You can hang out with our top prospects if you need new tires, if you need a new mortgage, if you need insurance. All of our businesses that we work with are right there in the app. Download it, the JB and Goldwater app. It is free. The Share Healthcare chat lines are open, and they are active, and we're glad to see all of you. We'll be here until noon today. We've got three guests. John Reynolds, now former assistant coach at South Carolina, or as he pointed out to me, free agent, will join us at 10:30 to talk some basketball. We're clearly going to talk about Frank Martin and his time under Frank with the Gamecocks as well. Raphael Esparza will join us at 11, and Derek Scott will join us on his way to Knoxville, and we will talk about the state of the Gamecock basketball program with him. And we'll get a brief preview on South Carolina and Tennessee. Another top 10 matchup for the Gamecock baseball program. And we'll give you all the baseball stuff here in just a little bit. Certainly going to talk plenty of March Madness today. And Darren, before we go any further.
I'm not ripping mine.
It's over. If you had Kentucky, you're an idiot like I am. Throw it in the trash. Way to go, Wildcats. Thanks a lot.
They busted a ton of brackets. I have them in the suite. I have them in the Final Four. I didn't eventually go with them all the way. I eventually went with Gonzaga all the way. Weird day, though, for me yesterday, balancing betting and brackets, because it's two very different things. My bracket went 8-8. My bets did better than that. So all in all, it was a good day. And my daughter's bracket, I think, is going to win the dog and duck pool. I said it to her when she filled it out, and honest to God, I did not make a single pick for her. All I did, I gave her information, said, you make the picks, not me. I can't help there. As soon as she filled it out, I looked at her. I was like, this is good. She has Kentucky losing next round. So it didn't bust her bracket at all.
Yeah. Well,
she went 11-5 yesterday.
Idiots like me. We didn't do that. So congratulations to G, this year's bracket winner. I don't have a crack at $100,000, which is what I was hoping for. But it's all good. It's all good.
Told Vermont was going to give Arkansas a good game, by the way. Got laughed at for that one.
You were right. You were wrong about some of the other ones.
I was.
That one. Yeah. All right, guys, I do have an update for you on Sean Miller. We're going to get there in just a minute, but we always start our Fridays off with the 2-minute drill, and we're not going to sell ourselves short this Friday either. Sean Miller continues to be the top target for Gamecock basketball. A deal could be done soon. More on that in a minute, but a lot has transpired over the last 12 hours or so with South Carolina's hoops search. The women will tip at 2 o'clock today on ESPN in their first game of their next pursuit of a national championship. Dawn and the Lady G's looking to do it again. We'll see, but it starts at Colonial Life Arena. a home game for the Lady Gamecocks, and it is Howard who will be probably at the bad end of a major thumping by Dawn's girls. Kentucky becomes the 10th 2-seed ever to be upset by a 15. Yeah, we kind of know about that in this state. It happened in 1997. Coppin State, the 15 seed, took down second seeded South Carolina. Sweet Jesus. The final last night was 85-79. The baseball schedule for the weekend: South Carolina is at Tennessee. Falls 30-8 at Lindsey Nelson Stadium since the start of the 2021 season. St. Peter's, hello, they're at the Citadel, probably hungover today.
Told you that would be close too.
Yeah, the Citadel is 10-6. St. Peter's beat Kentucky last night in basketball, but it hasn't been that good for them in baseball. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Their last 5 games in baseball, Darren, they've lost all 5. They have been outscored 101-11. Oh, my God. They're going to get killed today. Go Dogs. East Carolina is at the College of Charleston. 8-3 since starting 1-5. Miami is at Clemson as Clemson opens their ACC schedule. Radford at CSU, and UL Monroe is at Coastal Carolina. And that wraps your college baseball weekend slate. St. Peter's is living on top of the world with the win over the Wildcats. But that baseball stat, I don't think I've literally ever seen that. That is so bad. They're going to get killed.
Yeah.
Like, the Citadel can hit. They're going to score. The Citadel will score 12 runs today, at least.
I liked your tweet last night or this morning or whenever it was about the baseball team probably being hungover.
Yeah.
I mean, they
should be.
Probably.
And by the way,
it's not going to matter apparently based on those stats.
No, and they're throwing the first pitch at 2:00 today. Why? I asked why, and I'm not going to give you the answer, but it's
so they're getting pregame right now. Basically, they're eating their pregame meal if they're not already done with their pregame meal, and it was a late night.
Yeah. Well, yes, for them, but Tony, we know what Tony's do. Tony and Blake, they're and Zach, they're propped up in the office, feet on the desk, watching us. So get out there and get your team ready, boys. Get out there and get Hey, but before I get to the Sean Miller stuff. I just have to – I'm so happy. There are 3 different people that have told me this week. 3 different people. 1 from the College of Charleston, 1 from the Citadel, and 1 from South Carolina. None of them I asked. Every one of them, they just offered this up straight out of the blue. Like, literally, I did not ask a question. It was just like, dude, you won't believe this. And here it is. Texas is the most Bush League baseball team in the country. Bye-bye. You had a losing record in the Palmetto State. You will make it into the postseason, but you will not win another national championship because of the crap that you pull, because y'all are soft and you think you run the universe. And I see Keith Alsep is in the chat line, and he could probably tell you that. That right there is exactly why Texas should win and everything, and they don't because they're soft. The way that they treated the people at the Citadel, at the College of Charleston, and at South Carolina is disgusting. All of you. Go home. Don't come back. That is my whatever you want to call it, to Texas.
Well, I'll tell you.
Screw Texas. Horns way down.
We've done this show now for 2 years or something, and I don't think I've ever heard you go in on someone like that. So my guess is that rant was well worth it.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for people, and I actually have a ton of respect for Texas and what they've accomplished in all of their athletics department of all time. But that place and that program is a joke. It's a joke from what I didn't even ask. I was just like, oh my God, it's the second time I've heard that this week. Well, who did you hear it from the first time?
Someone else.
Third conversation I had, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Are y'all talking behind the scenes? Why are 3 different people telling this to me? Like, I'll give you one example. You don't just walk into somebody's ballpark and tell them when you're going to take BP. That's not how it works.
No.
I would have grabbed a fungo and walked over into that dugout and hit a bunch of piss missiles at them and said, no, I'll take BP when I'm ready to take it because it's my ballpark. How about that?
The way you went in on them leads me to believe they didn't treat locker rooms and people very well either.
It's just the nose up thing, you know.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
we're Texas. Yeah, well, you got beat at the College of Charleston. They beat your ass. South Carolina beat your ass too. And you know what? You're probably lucky the Citadel didn't, and they just ran out of arms. So, I mean, you know, anyways. All right, let's get to the latest. If you are a subscriber to the Big Spur, I'll tell you that John Whittle has put up an update just a few minutes ago. And I'm not going to read his update. That is his update. So y'all go to the Big Spur if you choose to do so and check that out. John is all over. Here's what I'll tell you. I spent a lot of time on the phone yesterday and this morning, and it's pretty close for South Carolina and Sean Miller. Okay. Could it not happen? Of course it could not happen, but things are beginning to look like they're headed in the right direction for the Gamecocks. Now, there are some things that I would say you would call kind of sewed up in this search, and then there are some things that aren't, quote, sewed up, that they still need to kind of maybe clear some hurdles. Think about it, you know, you're running track or something, Darren, and you got different obstacles and hurdles to get through, but you kind of can see the finish line and things of that nature. So that is I personally would say that these are not the words of Ray Tanner or Chance Miller or anybody else, but these are mine. It does appear that Sean Miller is the top candidate, and at this point in time, the leading candidate and the most likely candidate, I would add, for South Carolina. So with that being said, does that mean that they are done with interviews and done with the process? My information leads me to believe the answer to that is no. But it could halt at any second. Okay. If they sign Sean Miller, it's over. Clearly, they're not going to keep interviewing guys. But if they don't have it in ink, then they will continue to do the process. It was described to me as by a source last night, Darren, and you'll absolutely understand this as here's the plan. Here's the plan to keep the plan in place. Here's the plan to keep the plan in place. Then here's the backup plan, and here's the backup plan to the backup plan. They have been very organized. The administration led by, as many people don't want to hear it, Ray Tanner, Chance Miller. These guys have been phenomenal from what I've understood and what they have tried to accomplish. Whether you agree or disagree with the coach that ends up at South Carolina, the fact of the matter is how they have conducted their search and how they have conducted business is exactly how you do it at this level. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't work out. But right now it looks like things are headed in the right direction to work out for South Carolina. When could it happen? I would say anytime. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. And I would say to keep your eyes peeled over at the Big Spur, things of that nature as well. Let me also add this. A lot of reports last night that he was in Columbia at Hall's Chop House. That's not true. And that he wasn't there. And I was surprised to even hear that. Darren, I'll just tell you first, and I'll tell you who I texted with just because this isn't inside information.
Mm-hmm.
But I texted with JC last night, and I said, this whole Halls thing is really bizarre to me, and let me tell you why. Because Coach Tanner doesn't work in the open daylight like that.
Right, exactly.
He does. That's not Ray, man. He just never has done that. And he has a couple of ways that he likes to do things, and that ain't one of them. So I didn't know, obviously. I had no idea, but this morning, when I kind of caught wind that wasn't true, it made much more sense to me. So that's the update, Darren, and we'll see where it goes from here.
All of that makes a lot of sense because we've known a couple of things here. We've known, number one, that this hasn't been a great situation at South Carolina for a while. So because of that, we've known that there was at least some searching going on last year when nothing actually happened, but tentacles definitely started going out last year. They certainly continued this year. And when a change happened, things can move quickly because it's not like you're starting from ground zero at that point. You're well down the road. So the fact that there's a plan and a plan and a plan is good. When I was texting with you this morning, I mean, it does look like Sean Miller's the guy. That is what it looks like. That doesn't mean it's done. That doesn't mean that somehow, some way, Xavier could swoop in there or someone else could swoop in there, or for some reason, who knows what, some I or T doesn't get dotted or crossed. Yeah, any of that stuff can happen. But the national guys are all over this and were from the very beginning. The local guys are all over this and have been from the very beginning. And I'll reiterate what I said yesterday. When I first heard the name, my reaction was pretty negative. Why are you going to bring that baggage in? I don't get it. And then as soon as I kind of pieced together the Xavier thing and in my head said, well, he'd make a great sense at Xavier, at that point, my logic was wrong, right? If I can support this guy in one place, I should support him in another place because the logic's the same. I think he can go win wherever he ends up going if the resources are there, because he's a very good fit for the type of climate, A, it is now, and B, he was able to succeed with before some of these parameters weren't even in place. Right. It makes a lot of sense. There are powerful names in the SEC. There's only more coming in. This is a swing for the fences and one that could hit.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll hit off the top of the fence either. I think it will it'll clear it if this happens soon. The Xavier thing is interesting. I don't know that I would call this gentleman a source. Well, pertaining to the situation, yes, he would be a source, but he's not like a normal source. But hoops is his lane. And I spoke with him last night, and then actually just spoke with somebody not too long before the show that said something eerily similar to what I was told last night. And here's what I was told. Xavier really hadn't been that close in this, guys. And so my question was, well, how do you know that? And they said, basically from a resource standpoint and what the offers would be from each school, it's not close. And has there been contact? Their understanding with Xavier was yes, but was it legitimate that like it's approaching what South Carolina is going to be able to do for Sean Miller and what he wants? No. That's just the information that was relayed to me. Could it be bad information? Sure. But I'm going to pass it along. And then again, I got a text this morning from somebody that I knows, and his information was eerily similar to that. So, I'll kind of sit there. Does that mean, again, to your point, Darren, because we got to be really careful when we talk about this thing, for two reasons. One, there's a lot of moving parts out there, and you and I aren't sitting in any of these rooms. And number two, for ourselves, I don't want to say anything and then it blow back in my face from a credibility standpoint. So I want to be careful, but I trust the information that we've gotten thus far, and that's kind of where it is. And one interesting nugget that I received yesterday, Darren, was that if there ends up being a battle for Sean Miller, let's say that they end up needing to go back to the drawing board for something, was that it actually wouldn't be Xavier. It might be another program in the SEC that says, well, no, wait a second. We'll take you, and here's what we'll do to get you.
Right. And so all of that is still on the table. What you're saying there about Xavier doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me for two reasons. One, like we just said, it's not like the wheels on this just started moving. South Carolina's had a lot of time to get close with Sean Miller, and that's kind of why Xavier pulled the trigger when they did to see if they could jump into the mix. The fact that they're not close that you've heard at the moment, that could change at any second. One big donor comes and swings a check, and that could change at any moment. It was like our conversation yesterday, though, because if you just on the surface say, which is the better job? What's the better basketball program? What's the chance for more success right there, right off the top? Xavier's going to be a quick answer. But as we discussed yesterday, there's a lot more money in the SEC than in the Big East. There's more money flowing into the SEC in the future than will be flowing into the Big East as well. It makes a lot of sense that an SEC school can throw more money at any guy, not just money, resources, promises, the whole package worth of money. An SEC school should be able to throw more right now than a Big East school. I have no idea what Xavier's finances are, but that's just basic math, knowing what's coming into the SEC.
No doubt. Well, I mean, and no offense to the Big East, this is no disrespect to them at all. This has
Hell of a
nothing to do
league.
with them.
A hell of a
Yeah.
league.
Oh, from a basketball standpoint, yeah, you're talking about that's absolutely. Where I'm going here, Darren, is the Big East is not about to sign a new TV deal,
right?
That's going to pay their programs like the SEC is about to get paid because of football. So,
Yep.
You're going to see more and more of this in the Southeastern Conference, the Big Ten. When TV deals get kind of reworked with them, you're going to see more of it there. I do want to get to some of our folks here on the Share Healthcare chat lines, Darren, because they've been chiming in all morning, and I've disregarded them, and I really apologize. Let me read Adams. I've seen plenty of Xavier fans in the Twitterverse call Miller a slime ball. A lot of them don't want him back. That makes me feel uneasy, even though it's a small sample size. And you know what? You're not going to be the only one in that group. There's going to be a lot of people that feel like that. If Sean Miller ends up being the head basketball coach of the Gamecocks or anywhere else, and I understand it. I'd point to the Plains. Auburn hired Bruce Pearl, and seemingly, they're enjoying it over there right now. They're winning a bunch of ball games. So, you can never predict how things go, but if you know people and you understand your leadership, you can only hope that those that work for the leadership will fall in line with the parameters that are set. And the leadership at South Carolina is you have a clean leader. Regardless of what people want to say about Coach Tanner and how much they want to degrade him for the Will Muschamp hire or whatever, Coach Tanner follows the rules, and he always has. And Coach Tanner, this has been a little surprising to me. You've probably heard me on Wednesday with JC. I said, something that makes sense here. I feel a little uneasy about this. Coach Tanner, generally, when you step over the line, that's it. He's not doing that. So, personally, I just have faith in him that they've obviously been doing their due diligence, as you already pointed out, Darren. And when you work for Coach Tanner, better not break the rules. You can be Sean Miller or John Wooden or Frank Martin or whoever you want to be, but if he catches wind of it, you're gone. So I would take some solace in the fact that the leadership at South Carolina is going to keep those guidelines in place.
There are two things that jump out about this. Number one, there is a need. I mean, I never really considered a name like Sean Miller early on when I was saying my guess is it's a high major type of guy. But there is I don't know if need is the right way to put it, but an urgency to get this hire right, and going out and getting a guy like Sean Miller makes a lot of sense. That's part one in this. Part two in this is there's no way that he'd bring him in, Tanner, anybody, any school. There's no way he is getting hired, Sean Miller, if anyone believes that there's a show cause coming his way, or that there are serious ramifications coming his way in the near future. Is it possible? Yes. The hire won't happen here or anywhere else if the person making the hire thinks that that's happening soon. And they're not just going off their own information, right? That's part of the background process before you make a hire like this. Because if you go out and you make a hire like this, and in a week or a month or 6 months or something, it bites you that bad, you're in a lot of trouble. You can't make that mistake in the position any of these ADs are in.
No, I absolutely totally agree. I mean, you're about to enter prime time for basketball rebuilds. So if you're hiring a coach, you want to get him in place because the transfer portal is about to take off like a rocket as March Madness begins to kind of flicker out a little bit. And you want to be pretty as done with this as you can be. And you want to get a guy in to talk with your team and to meet your guys and all those type things. So yes, Darren, you can't hire a guy and then turn around and have to fire him and then be left sitting in the middle of the summer going, oh God, what do we do now?
Right. Damn. Could have had McMahon, could have had Gates, could have had Paris, could have had all these guys who I can't have now.
Yeah. You can't do it. I don't care how high profile the coach is. You can't do it. Nope. Speaking of which, I do find it interesting that over the last 12 hours or so, here we go again. Kentucky fans, that's it. He's done. Calipari been around too long. I'll say this. I think that John Calipari is far from being over the hill when it comes to coaching. Uh-huh. But I do wonder. St. Peter's just beat them last night, and set hats off to those guys. But you do wonder what type of, and I don't know, but what type of effect do recruiting all these one and dones every year? What type of effect does that have on the consistency of your program when you're trying to stay at the top? Because we know who the blue bloods are of the sport, and how many of those guys are winning national championships right now?
Never. Not just right now. I mean, that's one of the things about March that's been pretty consistent, that you need some consistency. You need veterans. And that this Kentucky team had a mix of all of it. That's why this one was surprising. By the way, the entire athletic department budget for St. Peter's is less than Calipari's salary annual.
Amazing stat.
I think that's my favorite stat of yesterday. $8 million for Calipari, St. Peter's athletic department. The whole thing. The budget is 7.5.
Dude, did you see after the game last night, the coach, instead of letting his guys jump off into the stands, he rounded them up and made sure that they went over and shook every hand of Kentucky before they were able to celebrate together? That was so cool.
That is cool.
That was so cool. Another quick nugget I want to throw in last night, and then we got to get to break. John Reynolds is coming up, now former assistant coach under Frank Martin. Did you see the timeout that Juwan Howard called last night with 30 seconds left in the game? Up 11 points because Colorado State was pressing his team?
I did, and I don't know if he was asked about it, but he could explain that thing away. Oh, this was the NCAA tournament. This one matters a little bit more.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was an interesting game. They were in big, big trouble.
I thought they were going to lose.
Yeah, I thought my flip on that was right. The two things I flipped on, I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I saw that timeout, and I thought, oh, wait a second. So you can call timeout up 11 points with 30 seconds left. And nobody's talking about that today, because there wasn't any punches thrown. The reality of it was, like we said the day after it happened, both teams were coaching their team. It's just how it played out. Juwan Howard was coaching his team to inbound the ball or to
get off the press.
Get off the press. Yeah. And they were coaching their team. It's just the way it played out. It's kind of how it was yesterday too.
All right. If you want some fireworks tonight, there is this underlying story. I don't know if it's being talked about in other places as well. Bruce Pearl and the Jacksonville State head coach, they don't like each other, and it goes back like 20 years.
Really?
And there have been from previous stops. There was I'll go find this because I should have had this information. It was long ago in their careers. They were facing off against each other. It was like 01, 02, 04. Like it was a long time ago. And at the first media timeout, they are in front of the scorer's table like fingers and faces. Like Bruce Pearl and this Jacksonville State coach have a long history, and they don't like each other.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. At all.
That will be fun to watch. And Bruce is certainly pretty fiery.
Yeah.
As we well know. Some definitely good games yesterday. I was also surprised in the fact that there was like 5 or 6 games that were decided by 30 or more points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of blowouts. I don't know of any, though, from that scoring differential in my mind, Darren, that were more surprising than what North Carolina did to Marquette. I didn't discount that they could win the game, but 32 points. Wow.
If they were on, and they were, right? I mean, that kind of opens your eyes to this is how good North Carolina can be. The one that surprised me more was Tennessee blowing the doors off of Longwood. I was pretty comfortable that was one of my better bets, that one in Providence. And Longwood got the absolute doors blown off them. And I was getting texts already last night from noted Tennessee fan David Smith, who's in our chat all the time, about this is a team that could potentially win. They can. They looked like a team that can potentially win. I don't think it's going to happen, but they did look like and have looked like a team for the last couple of weeks that can do it.
Really good. There's no question about that. All right, 10:30 on this Friday morning here on the JB and Goldwater show. When we return, they call him JR, John Reynolds. He's a free agent now. He's the former assistant coach for Frank Martin. He's going to talk some ball with us, give his thoughts on Frank and more when we get back.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity finance to new loan, subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work. And two others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and clinically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
It's the best time of the year on the sports calendar, and there's no better place to soak it all in than your spring headquarters. Dog and Duck, with 3 area locations in Bell Hall, Park West, and Clemens Ferry Road. Until May, $5 pints of Wicked Weed Brews and Devil's Backbone, again, until May. Patio seating, happy hour daily, family bingo on Monday, the Duck Truck Double Burger every Wednesday, rib night on Friday. It's the place to be for the best wings in town, the best sports everywhere you look. Dog and Duck, 3 area locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clemens Ferry Road.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. Thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater show and the Big Gamecock Preview show.
Hey, South Carolina, what's going on? This is Patrick Davis, and you are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater show.
Pop top again. Finally, Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. Freak out, yo. Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
All right, 10:35. It is Friday. Darren's favorite jam to bring us back on the JB and Goldwater show, presented by Motley Rice. Derek Scott coming up at 11:35 this morning. Raphael Esparza live from Vegas at 11. But first, they call him JR. And he corrected me, and I'm glad you did, on Twitter, because I meant to put FMR, former assistant. And you said, dude, I'm a free agent. I'm a free agent coach now.
Yeah,
but you spent the last few years in South Carolina under Frank Martin, and we're glad to have you. What's up, dude? John Reynolds.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, but unfortunately, the powers that be wouldn't agree with you. But
Yeah.
no, good man. I didn't know Darren didn't fill me in. I'd have Derek Scott on here following me, so hope I can provide a little insight. But that's you guys are bringing out the heavy hitters today.
You're setting the bar high. I mean, Scott can only hope to get to wherever you set this bar.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But no, I appreciate it. It was that or sitting around twiddling my thumbs like George Costanza, wondering what I'm going to do next. So talking sports.
What have you been doing for the last couple of days? Have you been shipping off your resume, or what's it been like?
No, it's always kind of a whirlwind, but and anytime you end the season, there's kind of a period of decompression, reflection, whatever you want to call it. It's such a I hadn't known what day of the week it is since sometime in mid-December, and so you're just coming off of that, and then obviously Monday was a little bit of a change in plans for all of us, but no, just been taking it in. Fortunately, I've been through this type of deal before. Fortunately, this time it's had a little more time. I know when we got let go at Presbyterian about 5 years ago, I was there and interviewed for the job and everything, and that didn't get settled till about May 22nd. So when you're that far along, it's a little more stressful, but no, just a lot of things moving around and seeing what's next, but have some faith, some good things are going to work out, and for now, just enjoying watching the tournament and like everybody else right now, I'm sitting on the couch and watching games and enjoying March Madness.
Well, first of all, things are going to work out because you're a good dude and you're good at your job. And second, I mean, people were telling me you're going to be a coach from the time, I don't know, you were 19 or 20 years old. So I have full faith there. When you're watching these games, how are you watching them? I mean, are you watching them with a beer in the hand as a fan? Are you watching them like, oh man, look at that play they just ran? I mean, what's going through your mind as you're watching some of these?
Yeah, a little bit of both. You try to disconnect because anytime, one of the cool things about being in the SEC was, you can sit down on a Wednesday night and sit on the couch and pull up the TV and you're watching the teams that you're going to be playing against.
Mm-hmm.
So as a coach, as somebody who's been doing it now for I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years, whatever. I kind of give myself credit, Darren, for being a coach when I was still in college like you did. But it's hard to turn it off for sure. But I don't know of any other way to watch the game, but that's what makes it fun. You don't really follow the ball as much. You're looking at teams running actions and things, but then some of these games in March and they're coming down to the wire. So many times it's just guys making plays. Like you're at the end of the year, you're not going to trick anybody with what you're going to run. Everybody's seen all of your games. It's going to come down to personnel and who's got the stones to go make a play. And I think at that point, we're all just fans. You just kind of get lost in it and you're just watching. But man, like some of those games last night, the shot making and things just unbelievable. And that's what makes March special. Seeing kids and teams that put in the work all year, and when guys rise to the occasion, you see it every year. And no matter what your background is, you can appreciate that.
Yep.
JR, obviously y'all fell a little short of getting to the dance, and I do want to ask you in just a minute about Frank. I listened to him this morning on Teddy, watched him on TV last night. He's all over the place now. I tell you what, he must have got a new razor because his head is shinier today.
Good
than it
makeup
was
artist.
last weekend.
They've shined him up very well. There's good makeup on there.
They're putting it up top too. I mean, it's sharp, man. But y'all didn't make the dance, but did you feel like you should be playing in March? You missed the NIT. I thought y'all should have at least been in the NIT. I mean, you finished 5th in this league and you're not in the postseason. It didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think we're the only Power 5 team to finish top 7 in their league and not to be playing in the postseason, which is, and you can say 7. We were tied for 5th, however you want to slice it up.
It's ridiculous.
But, I could take up a whole show with that and bore
Sure.
you guys on all the reasons that, we got left out and we feel this way or that way. And, the fact is you can't really change it right now. It is interesting just to throw in. I'm kind of looking over the bracket and looking over some things and knowing I was going to talk to you guys, kind of educate myself on some games. And you look at Alabama's playing and beside their name, it's 19-13 and 9-9 in the SEC and a 6 seed or whatever they are. And they got high level wins. I get it. All records aren't the same, but we definitely felt like we should have been playing. We felt like we had a good enough year. We knew we didn't do enough to get into the NCAA tournament, which was, the ultimate goal. So nobody was sitting around, screaming about that, but, just hated it for our guys because I felt like, they gave us everything that they had this year. And a lot of times you get to the end of the year and you're not sure how a team is going to react about being disappointed to make the tournament. And, do they want to play in the NIT? Do they want to keep playing? And I know for a fact that we had a group that felt like, for one, they had a bad taste in their mouths because we just didn't have a good half. It's unfortunate. That's the last half that team got to play against Mississippi State. And they wanted a chance to go keep playing, and as long as your players feel like that, you feel like, you kind of owe it to them and owe it to each other to go out and compete for as long as they'll let you compete. And so that part of it, just the finality of it being over. And you could certainly make our case, but the fact is it doesn't matter. It's just talk at this point.
JR, how difficult, I've heard Frank talk about it. As the head coach, I've always thought he does a really good job of balancing having certain discussions and the way in which he talks about them. You don't work for South Carolina anymore, neither does Frank. So maybe you can have them a little bit differently. But how difficult of a job is it now in basketball? Y'all brought in 7 transfers, 7 guys that you did not have before. And you got to figure out how to get, and that's not including, that was 7 transfers and then freshmen too, right? So wasn't there like 10 new players overall?
Yeah, 10, 11, something like that. Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, that's an entire new roster. Can you describe how difficult it is to get those guys on the same page and how far along in a basketball season you generally will get before you start to look out there and go, oh, okay, well, now the light's on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and not to give you a like a coach speak answer, but it really depends on who it is. Like not all transfers, not all freshmen are made the same, you know. And I thought we were really intentional coming off the year that we had last year of we have to get back to being who we are and having guys who fit who we are and are going to be committed to doing things the way that Frank and his staff have always done them around here. And on that part of it, I think we hit it out the park. And that's why, with this going down the way it did, everybody knew that was possible. But, I think you're seeing, we're leaving here with our heads held high because we got back to playing the type of basketball and being the type of program that Frank built here. And you do that, and that's all you can do. And you let the chips fall where they may. And at the end of the day, you live with the results. But no, I mean, you're right. You're right. It's, it's a crapshoot. Some of it is easier to a point because when you're recruiting college players, you got film on them playing in college, and some of the guesswork is gone. Now you got to evaluate how they fit within your program. But when you're recruiting out of high school or different levels, level of competition or the area that they play or the quality of coaching that they've gotten, you just don't really always have all those answers. So the transfers are a little bit easier to evaluate, but they still have to come in and you got to think some of these guys, they've been taught to play a certain way. And it doesn't mean that way is wrong, but it's just not the way that you do things. Everybody does things differently. So, you got to break some habits and I definitely think, probably some early season, things that we had going on, not playing as well, you could say that we were trying to figure each other out. And I think clearly the further we got into the NCAA, the SEC schedule, you kind of saw our guys kind of start to click and play at a different level at certain points. But, that's everywhere. You know, everybody's dealing with that. You look at Kentucky last night; they got 5 transfers on the court. You know, I mean, it's across every level. So, you know, it's certainly, you know, as a coach, it's tough because, you know, it's what you do. You get guys to come in and form a team and learn each other and play together and learn to play well together. And that process is certainly a little bit different now. But as far as our situation is concerned, you know, really couldn't have been any happier with our guys. I mean, guys like James Reese and Eric Stevenson were unbelievable for us. I mean, they were 2 feet in from the moment they stepped on campus. You know, their admiration and respect for Frank. And, you know, a guy like James came here with a purpose, like, I want to help fix this, you know, and having guys like that, you know, it makes it so much easier when you don't have to talk about buy-in. You don't have to convince them to do things a certain way. They're just like, I'm here, I'm ready, let's do it. And so that part of it, that made it fun.
I know that Darren and you are excited, and I am too. I want to talk to you about basketball and the tournament and things like that. I love talking X's, O's, and strategy. I know that's you're excited about, but just final question on Frank. Describe Frank in your time that you've had with him. I know I've interacted with Frank over 7 years, JR, you know, quite a few times. And I've said this before to Darren. Darren's seen it. We've done it together now 3 times, Darren, interviewing him. He asks you about you, and he's always so personable. And I've always really appreciated that about him. So, but you spent every day with him for a while. Describe Frank in what he means, who he is.
He just an unbelievable human being and one of the real and genuine people in this business in a time where that is not nearly as important as it used to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, what he stands for, who he is every single day. You know, the coaching fraternity is a tight knit place. And when Frank walks in a room, you know, he's got the attention of that room, and everyone knows that what comes out of his mouth is going to be the truth. And unfortunately, that's just not a way that you could describe a lot of coaches in college basketball this day and age. There's a lot of lip service out there, man. There's a lot of stuff that sounds good. There's a lot of guys that talk about doing things the right way. There's a lot of guys who talk about the way that they treat players. Frank's going to yank a player out of the game and yell in his face out there. And that's what people see, but that's who he is. And he's not afraid to do it. And there's a lot of guys that put on this facade of being this super nice guy that are just the dirtiest, slimiest people you'd ever know behind the scenes. And that reassuring to me. Unfortunately, you know, we're sitting here getting let go, and other guys like Konzo Martin are looking for jobs, who are just the stand-up human beings in this thing. But for me being here, I mean, Frank saved me, man. He brought me in off the street. I told you I didn't have a job, and it's June, you know, and there ain't nothing left, and they're coming off a Final Four. And we had a relationship, but it's not like we were best friends. You know, we knew each other from being in the state and bumping into each other and recruiting and things. But he created a position for me coming off a Final Four in 2017, when there would have been any young coach in America would have beat this door down to come work for him coming off a Final Four.
Yep.
You know, and he brought me in and trusted me, and you know, gave me an opportunity to work at the place that I grew up going to games at. And the final part I'll say about that is the professional in me and you know, the fan, which died a while back, but that grew up coming to games in here, kind of collided. And seeing him every day and the way that he does things, this place could not have been more fortunate, whether they know it or appreciate it or not, to have him here in this community as the head coach, you know, for 10 years. I could sit here and talk about him all day, but you know, I think a sad day for the business. You know, a sad time, and I don't want to make too big a deal out of it, but some of the messages being sent right now to young coaches about what it takes to survive and elevate yourself in the business. To me, it's it's sad when you see real guys like Frank and Konzo being run out, and some of the guys who are celebrated, this day and age, and kind of knowing that, what you see is not always what you get, for all of them. But for me, I'll go down with that ship with a guy with integrity, like that, 100 times rather than to be celebrated and put on TV and not be about all the right things. So, I mean,
Awesome.
I owe everything to Frank Martin, and I know I'll have his back for life, and I know he'd do the same for me.
That is so awesome. Well said, man. Yeah. Well, you're both going to be coaching next year. And just Frank said it this morning. Teddy asked him, "You plan on coaching next year?" He said, "I'm trying." So he's shipping off that resume. I don't know where he's going, but wherever he goes, I'll pull for whoever.
It's part of his TV thing. That's why it's awesome that he got the opportunity to do this. It's exposure. His agent was on that thing, and bam.
I'm sorry, JR. This is the best we could do for you. They put him on CBS last night.
Well, once they passed on me, I kind of thought I might be up there, but they decided to go with Frank. I was available, so I appreciate you guys scooping me up.
No problem. It's awesome. All right, what'd you make of how about the Wildcats, man? What happened there?
It's unbelievable. You don't I'm a free agent now, so I can fill out a bracket, and I can put however much money I want to on anybody. So,
say whatever you want. Yeah.
Darren, let's go, man. Let's get on a plane and go to Biloxi or somewhere. Man, that's the reason why, though, because people ask me all the time, because you're a coach, you're in it. What do you think? Well, we're like the worst people to ask, because we know what should happen. And what should happen just doesn't happen, and I could sit here and explain to you a million reasons why Kentucky blows out St. Peter's by 30 points, Yeah. I don't know. I'm watching that game and I can't figure it out. Now, certainly, like St. Peter's, they made shots at a high level. Like, they made shots, and you got to tip your cap to them. But, it wasn't like, they couldn't do anything with Oscar, 30 points, 15 rebounds, whatever it was. And it didn't really feel like Kentucky played bad. I know they didn't play well. They didn't play great, but it wasn't like they were just throwing the game away. St. Peter's, like I said, man, they made shots. They ran good offense. They got good looks. They got timely, putbacks and things like that. And it was just one of those things, like, it's March, man. You can't always explain it. It's just sometimes kids get in that moment, and look, we've been on the other side of it before too, where things happen and it goes on a run, and you can see it on the kids' faces, like, how did we get here?
Yeah,
we're down 5 with a minute left. Like, how did this happen? But sometimes you get in a rut, and another team goes on a run, and you can be the better team for 35 minutes, but those 5 minutes cost you. And but man, hats off to them. They earned it. It wasn't fluke in any way. They earned it.
Let me ask you this about Alabama. That's one of the tighter lines today. It's Alabama and Notre Dame. What does Notre Dame have to do to beat Alabama? And I guess the strengths. I'm sure you know Alabama better than you know Notre Dame. So with the keys to knocking off Alabama if you're Notre Dame.
Alabama, when Javon Quinterly is going, and especially if he's making shots and he's getting downhill and he's making plays, you've seen it. They're capable of beating anybody in the country. Yeah, because they have.
And they have.
Wins over Gonzaga, Baylor, Houston. It's incredible. But they've been kind of Jekyll and Hyde. And I think anytime you shoot as many threes as you do, as they do, you kind of invite that. And not as good defensively as they were last year. People forget, like, Herb Jones was incredible. John Petty, known for his shooting, but he was a 6'6" guy with length, and they had tremendous length all over the floor, and they guarded you, and they were good on both ends. The defense is not quite what it was. But to me, knowing I've watched a little bit of Notre Dame, it's all about what version of Alabama, and really, like, what version of Javon Quinterly shows up. Because if he's good, he's as good of a point guard as there is in the country. And when he's getting downhill, they put you in a really tough spot, because the way that they space the floor, they put him in a middle ball screen, You got Keon Ellis on one side who can shoot the three, and he's really athletic. He can drive, get to the rim. They have the freshman big, who I'm blanking on his last name right now, who's 6'11" and can jump out the gym. And so you got to decide. If you help up, they just throw it over your head and they dunk it, and then they got Jaden Shackelford on the other side. So they put you in some really, really tough spots. My opinion is if that version of Alabama shows up, they cruise past Notre Dame, but we'll see. That's why it's and it's going to turn. Another part of it too is, these games in March, that free flowing, run it up and down, chunk up shots, that doesn't last. Eventually you're going to be in tight games. You're going to be in games that come down to the last 3 minutes, and it's going to be walking the ball up the floor, and it's who can execute in the half court and who can guard in the half court.
Yeah.
And
ask Iowa.
And that's exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's it. And it's, you're obviously all playing for your lives. And so many of these games are going to come down to the wire. And, that's why at the end of the day, a lot of times you see the teams that can play multiple styles and multiple ways are the ones that are left standing, and so they're going to have to execute in the half court at some point. I'm sure Notre Dame's going to try to slow the game down and make them guard multiple actions and kind of tax them on defense and slow down their running game. But it'll come down to the last 3 minutes and who can execute.
All right. So Kentucky's out, but of what's left from the league with I would say specifically Auburn, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas. Darren called it. He thought Vermont would give him a run yesterday, and they did. But Arkansas is good. But I like Auburn and I like Tennessee personally. JR better than pretty much everybody else. If you look at either one of them and what's left, I don't know if you know what their road might look like, but can either one of those teams, based on you saw them all year, can they win the national championship?
I believe they play, right? If they keep going, don't they face each other? No, that's Auburn.
Well, Auburn's in the Midwest. Tennessee's. So can they win the national championship?
I'm not sure on their path, but I can tell you this. I think Tennessee is playing as well as anybody in the country right now. Yeah. They're really good. I've got no doubt that they can go out there and win it all. Auburn is capable. Auburn just with their style of play, the way that they do things, like if you go back and look, which you won't and you shouldn't, but the game before that they played us, which we kept getting scheduled to play at Auburn, I think 2 out of 4 years on the day that they were playing to clinch the SEC championship, which is just awesome.
It's just typical Carolina, man.
They played Mississippi State the game before, and you're watching the film. In the first half, they just look unbeatable the way they're just flowing up and down the court, and they're jacking up shots, and Wendell Green's hitting 30-footers. And then, you flip over to the second half, and all of a sudden those free-flowing, just let it fly shots aren't going, and now they just look like it's bad offense, and they're undisciplined, and somebody's making a run, And so with the way that anytime you play that way, you kind of subject yourself to that. Tennessee is just so solid, and they really guard you. They can execute in the half court, again, at a high level. And I think some of their issues early in the year, they were kind of they kind of had a propensity to go through droughts, and that's what would hurt them. And that just hasn't really happened with them in the second half of the season. I think it's got a lot to do with those freshman guards, Ziegler and Darren. Somebody help me out.
Yeah, getting them.
His name escapes me too.
The 2 freshman guards, have been unbelievable, and they're not, it's like the old saying, like they're not freshmen anymore, but they're not playing like it, and I think earlier in the year, trying to figure that out, they could go through some offensive lulls, and now and Josiah James is really shooting the ball. And he's doing that. He did it when they came and played us here at the CLA. And you think, man, if Josiah's hitting shots all night, they're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah.
Chandler's you're talking about. Chandler. Yeah.
I was thinking Jaden Springer, who was there, 2 years ago. Chandler and Ziegler, incredible, not playing like freshmen anymore. And then they have size and physicality at the rim. So, if you made me pick one, I'd probably go with Tennessee. I think they're just so solid right now. And then they do have like they're solid. They run great stuff. They're well coached. And then if it all breaks down, they got some talent that can just go make a play, and certainly you can throw Auburn in there too. I mean, Jabari Smith, some of the shots he hit against us were just like nothing you could do,
Smooth.
and he's a guy that's got a chance to take over a game at any time. But yeah, I think both of those teams, I think Arkansas, their road may be a little bit tougher just off. I think they're in there with Gonzaga and they're going to have a tough one with New Mexico State.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they're definitely capable, but what the hell do I know? I thought Kentucky could win the national championship this year.
So did everyone.
Yeah, I ripped up my bracket as soon as we opened the show today because I picked them. I really thought they'll get it going, but that's what I get for doing that. You know who's going to have a tough time? Michigan, because they have Tennessee tomorrow at 5:15 on CBS. So
another chance to root against Michigan. I'm in.
Bye-bye.
It'll be interesting, man. Michigan again. They're Hunter Dickinson. I watched their game. I mean, the Colorado State had no answer for him. He's a super talented guy. So we'll see. We'll see. We all sit around and talk about predictions and what should happen, but we don't know. It's March. That's why it's fun.
That's right. I'll tell you what. If you want, we'll get you back in next week, and we'll look at this thing again if you got time.
I will look at my calendar. It's been pretty clear lately. Not a lot of.
It's not funny, but you know what I'm saying.
You gotta laugh about it, man. You gotta laugh about it. So yeah, we'll get in touch with my people. We may be able to work something out.
All right, hey,
all those guys. Before we let you go, all those guys who were on that team that I just was along for the ride, winning those 20 games and just talking about it, which was awesome. All y'all are now coaching. You guys need to figure out a way to all be coaching. I got an idea, but all be coaching one team, and see if just recreate that magical run.
But potentially, yeah, if there was some way to do that, that'd be interesting for sure. So
I just saw Dimitri.
Let me know if you come up with anything.
I saw Meat the other night doing a First Baptist game. Saw his daughter and everything. You guys are all growing up.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible. And I had no idea. He hit me up sometime this year and was like, "Yeah, I'm helping out at First Baptist." I was like, "You gonna tell me that?" But no, it's pretty cool. And yeah, man, that was a fun time. And one of the really cool things. I know we got to go, but just when you win, I think there's a saying like teams that lose don't have reunions. You kind of all go your separate ways, and that's it. But when you win, you create like an unbelievable bond for having gone through stuff like that. And those are all guys I keep in touch with, and even if you don't talk to them for a year, anytime you see them or call them on the phone, it's like you never skipped a beat. And that's what makes this thing, not to get on a soapbox, but that's what makes what we do so rewarding. Because, I had that experience, and you want to help create that, those lifelong memories and lifelong relationships. Hopefully the kids that you coach, have the same experience. And to me, man, that's what it's all about. But yeah, man, that was a fun time. So, while we're on it, I just want to say, I traded text messages with him, like all the respect in the world to Duger Balcom, as an alum of that school. I could tell you stories for 30 more minutes about him, and he and I barely had a relationship before he took over. And I know he's probably tired of hearing it, but just like an all-time nice guy. And all I told him was, man, I just always appreciated the way you handled yourself and how you represented, that place, and, a place that a lot of people worked hard to and put a lot into, and, the way he was, to me and all the former players there, couldn't have any more respect, for him, and certainly wish him well, for whatever's next for him.
Well said. Very well said. You've been around some spectacular people in college basketball who, as you mentioned, do it the right way. And right now they're both looking for new gigs. So
I have, man. I just got to make sure the right people are rubbing off on me, and it's not too much of Darren Goldwater and Derek Scott. If I can just kind of
Yeah,
the Frank Martins of the world, I think I'll be okay.
the Derek Scotts are dangerous. They're you never know. He's a wild card. He is a wild card. Yeah, he's he says he's traveling on the way to Knoxville right now, so we'll see. He'll probably be in the mountains somewhere, so it's gonna be one of those spotty connections.
Full baseball mode. I invited him to join me in Atlanta. I think we're opening the season against his Reds, but he came up with some excuse like he had to call a baseball game or something.
Yeah, you got to call him. Well, hey, look, I think you and I can agree on this, JR. Back-to-back World Series. Freeman, he's gonna be missed, but they're gonna win it again, and it is what it is. So
make my life miserable.
As they say in the boxing world when they reach a decision, and still the champions.
That's right.
It's still.
That's right. Looking forward to October again in Atlanta, Georgia. JR, thank you, man. You spent a lot of time with us, and we really appreciate it. We're pulling for you. We'll definitely be in touch and keep our eyes on where things are headed next with you. And as we mentioned, maybe in the next week sometime we can plug you back in and talk some more ball, and let's see where this. By then, what's it going to be, guys? We'll be into the Sweet 16. Yeah. Be perfect. Be perfect time.
It's crazy, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on, man. A lot of fun.
Absolutely.
We'll do it again.
There you go, JR. John Reynolds, free agent, assistant basketball coach from the South Carolina Gamecocks. All right, it is 11:05, and instead of hitting a timeout because he's so valuable this time of the year, we're going to fly right to Vegas and find everybody's favorite Raphael Esparza. What's up?
What's going on, gentlemen?
We didn't even take a break for you, man.
Well, your whole job over there is a break, so you don't need to take another break.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Here we go. All right. So this is like one of the greatest times in the world for the betting world, right? Darren's already lost.
Speak for yourself.
I did better that way than in my brackets yesterday, but the last couple of weeks, Raphael, the analytics haven't had a great couple of weeks in the conference tournament, and yesterday wasn't awesome either on that side.
No. I mean, yesterday dictate if you can control your style of play, you will win, you will cover, or you will upset your opponent. I could care less what analytics say. I could care less what the metrics or what the numbers are saying. If you could control your tempo of the game, it doesn't matter who you are, 16, 14, 12, you can win the game. You can get the backdoor cover. We've seen it all day yesterday.
So let me ask you this from a betting perspective. Trends, right? You're gonna have your ups and your downs. Do you stick with what you do? Do you bet the process, or do you use day one and say, well, hang on, the process is out the window. Now I'm going with a new process.
For myself, I would still look at who's coming in and hot and who's not. Even though it had nothing, even though that was horrible yesterday with Iowa going down, because they were one of the hotter teams coming in.
I had Richmond plus 10.5.
Yeah, but you have two teams that I would put in that trademark as Iowa. I would say UAB. If they put up 80 points, if they dictate the style of the game against Houston, then they upset Houston, and it's going to be a high-scoring game. They're averaging almost 81 points a game. They're 21 and 10, 20. They're 31 games this year. 21 of them have gone over the total. So if they dictate that game, Virginia Tech, if they play like they did last week and cutting down the nets, I don't care. I don't care who you are. They can upset Texas. It's not really an upset. I mean, the number is 1.5, but I can guarantee you a lot of people will probably have the horns up on their bracket, and they might be doing horns down on their bracket after that game.
Yeah, what is the line in that game? 1.5?
1.5, depending on where you shop around.
All right. How about Darren? Did I just miss this? I was reading something while you were talking with him as well. Did you mention Notre Dame and Alabama to him yet?
Did not bring up Notre Dame and Alabama yet. No.
Okay. That is a 4:15 tip today. Notre Dame and Alabama on TNT. Bama is a 4-point favorite, Raphael.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked that that Notre Dame is there. I didn't think Notre Dame would be there, but I didn't think Michigan would win yesterday as well. So I kind of like Alabama laying the small number. I would say maybe wait to see if any kind of line movement. If you like Notre Dame, maybe you can get 4.5. If you like Bama, hopefully maybe since Notre Dame has played a game already, maybe the bettors will look at that and maybe we'll jump on that and a number moves. I made this number 3-4, so it's pretty much dead on to me, but I would wait to see if there's any line movement. It's a 4:15 game, so it's not like it's the early game that tips off. Montana State, Texas Tech is the first game of that region, San Diego, so that one should be interesting, but don't sleep on Montana State, Red Raiders.
Okay, so good. Montana State, that's a big number that they're getting here, and Loyola and Ohio State. I'm getting both sides of this one. Where are you on both of them?
Everyone says, Sister Jean. I don't think this Sister Jean team is one of the better teams we've seen in the past for Loyola Street. I know their backcourt is really good. I know their backcourt can score some numbers, but I think their rebounding game is not as good. And I think Ohio State big guys, if they can control the boards, I think Sister Jean goes home. But we also have will anyone score more than Sister Jean's age, 102 years old? So we had two scares yesterday with Gonzaga and North Carolina almost putting up a century mark. So that prop bet's still alive if you bet under Sister Jean's age compared to total points scored.
MyBookie.ag is where you can lay and place those bets. What is the deal right now? I know we always had the 50% sign-up bonus. Anything else out there?
They had some NFT steals. They had a whole bunch of stuff, Bitcoin deals. I mean, it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember. If I put those in my brain, that means prop bets go out of my brain, and it's rather.
All right, so let me give you a couple of scenarios here. In the SEC, you've got 15-2 Jacksonville State and Auburn. We did see a 15-2 upset last night with Kentucky going down to St. Peter's. That's a 1240 on True TV. I mentioned Notre Dame and Bama at 4:15 on TNT, and then you also have LSU and 11th-seeded Iowa State at 7:20 tonight on TBS. In the ACC, on the other side of our neck of the woods, 10th-seeded Miami and 7th-seeded Southern Cal at 3:10 today on True TV. You already discussed Virginia Tech and Texas at 4:30 on TBS, and then another 2:15 in Duke and Fullerton tonight at 7:10 on CBS. So who has the better day, the SEC or the ACC?
I'm going to have to say the ACC just because there's a lot of question marks in the SEC. I'm not sold on Auburn. They're not coming in playing their best ball. Jacksonville State, that's a big number. We only seen a couple big numbers covered so far. I don't think Auburn covers that one. And let's face it, the LSU Iowa State has the biggest probably question mark out of the first 2 days of college because we have no idea how LSU is going to come out. Are they motivated to play for this interim coach? Are they still sad about Will Wade not being on their sideline? So I put a big X. Even if LSU was minus 12 and Iowa State money is coming in, I probably still wouldn't bet this just because there's just too many question marks on this one. It's a 6:20 game, so I can guarantee we'll see some line movement on this one. So I think that's why I would go with the ACC just because of the LSU question mark. I don't know. And the style of how Auburn has come in playing in this tournament so far.
All right.
You hit on part of this buy sell here, I think, with that Auburn answer you just kind of slid in. Over under 1.5 SEC teams in the Elite Eight.
Well, you know I hate the SEC. If we're going to play card sharks, under.
It's over because Tennessee is going to be there and somebody else.
Tennessee and North Carolina yesterday were the best two teams.
I agree with that.
Those two teams were phenomenal. I mean, Gonzaga played well in the second half. If Gonzaga hit their free throws, they win by 40. But Tennessee and North Carolina, it was hard for me to choose which one had a better day between those two. They played both phenomenal. I wouldn't want to play Tennessee. I have Tennessee going into my Final Four. So even though I always bash the SEC, if I did a bracket, I would have the Tennessee in my Final Four, but I think they go.
Are less brackets being done now and filled out because of the explosion of the gambling world?
No. I mean, there's still offers pools. I mean, I get so many emails, want to join my bracket pool, and I probably haven't filled out a complete bracket since high school. So for me, I mean, I get invited. My brother, and he's been a Home Depot guy for over 30 years. He's got like tons of Home Depot brackets going out that I'm helping him with. So I think brackets are always going to be popular, and I think that's why the excitement of March Madness.
All right, Raphael, I would. This is my pitch to basketball fans. Don't fall asleep early tonight, because I've got a gut feeling that somewhere around 11:15, 11:30, you're going to be trying to figure out how to watch both 12-5 UAB versus Houston and 10-7 Davidson and Michigan State. Michigan State is a 1-point favorite in the game against Davidson. UAB is a 8.5-point dog in theirs against Houston. What do you think about both of those?
I can't wait to watch UAB and Houston, just because, again, if UAB controls their tempo, they upset Houston, which if I did a bracket, I'd probably have Houston going pretty far. But let's face it, if UAB could put up an 80 mark on there, it could be lights out for the Cougars. I'm not really excited for this Davidson-Michigan game. Give me the TCU Seton Hall game, the late game. I'm more excited to watch that game. But I think Michigan State, I mean, the public loves Davidson right now. Michigan State opened up at 2.5. A lot of tickets written on Davidson. I think they think Curry's playing in this game. I think that's why so much love on Davidson in this one. But that one should be a fun one. If you're a Big Ten fan, you're probably rooting for Michigan State. But I'm excited to see the TCU Seton Hall game.
That's a pick'em game tonight.
Yeah, and I'm totally blown away. I like the Hall and that matchup. I think they're bigger. They'll be able to control the boards, even though they haven't covered 3 of their last 4 games. But I think size would be too much. And we saw size, again, yesterday with Gonzaga. Size does I know women don't say this, but size does matter at some points. So I would size probably matters in that game.
I think I think we saw that in a lot of places, like Providence, South Dakota State. I went opposite the public there because I just size was my big logic there. I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I think we saw that in a couple different places yesterday.
We could see it. And the Purdue game today could be very interesting too on their big length.
How about Chattanooga? Any chance to pull an upset of 4th-seeded Illinois? 6:50 tonight on TNT.
You know, I usually try to fade away the media on all these shows. Keep an eye on the mocks, and then 9 times out of 10, that team gets blown out. So I think they're a tough matchup on this one. And so I think Illinois, if I had to look at something that's a good matchup, I think Duke should be on high alert. I think the
really.
I think the Titans, let's face it, I'm sorry, Coach K, your farewell tour. Your farewell tour has damaged, I think, the end of the season. Just look at these kids' faces. Look, go back and watch the game against North Carolina. Look at those kids' faces. It's just too much pressure for these kids who went to prom a year ago, and now they're playing a game, and everything's about Coach K, Coach K. I think the pressure on these kids is too high. I think that's why they haven't been playing their best ball. Would not be shocked if the Titans upset the Blue Devils.
That's one of the games. I'm not on many today yet because today it's hard, but that's one of them I'm on with Fullerton. I don't think they're going to win. They're getting a lot of points.
No, I think Duke advances, but I'm sorry. I'm going to miss seeing Coach K in the sidelines. I'm not saying I hate Duke or bashing Duke, but I'm sorry. These are kids who had to deal with all this pressure. And now at the end of the season, maybe they didn't have to deal with it in the beginning of the season because they knew they had all season. But now towards the end, yeah, I feel bad for these kids. I think the pressure might be getting to these kids again that just went to prom a year ago.
It's an interesting point. I wonder if there will be a time and place where after reflection, Coach K will look back and think to himself, maybe he should have just announced his retirement at the end of the season whenever he was ready to retire. As opposed
if he loses tonight, he probably will at the press conference.
I agree. It's going to come up. Maybe I should. That was my logic, though, in the North Carolina game, too. You've been seeing this trend already that it's not an easy spot for these kids. They're playing for a legend in front of legends, and they're babies.
Yeah, I said it to one of the videos I did, and someone bashed me on one of the comments, and I told him, hey, go watch the North Carolina game and watch the kids' faces during the timeouts in the second half. They look like deer in headlights.
It almost felt like they were maybe letting him down.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter how they're reflecting, letting him down, the emotions. I mean, there's probably so many emotions on that sideline.
3:14 at 9:50 tonight, Colgate and Wisconsin. The Badgers, I think it's still 7.5 or 7.5 point favorites. Yeah.
I'm a Crest guy, so I'll probably be rooting for Badgers on that one. So I just think everyone likes Colgate in this one. It wouldn't shock me again if Colgate pulls off the upset, if the Colgate hits their threes. But if you're Wisconsin, you need to go back and play Wisconsin ball. Keep this game in the 60s and stuff like that. If you can play Wisconsin ball and keep it in the low 60s and all that, I think the Badgers win this one. Would not be shocked if the Badgers covers, because there's another one. Last time I checked, I think 80% of the money was on Colgate. So I would not be shocked if Wisconsin, who's a very experienced team, Wisconsin wins this one.
A lot of that, from everything I can tell, is so many questions about Johnny Davis. So if he's not 100%, how does that affect how you look at the game?
Then it's totally different. I think he still will be the best player on the court, even if he's 80%, but because I think he has a better team around him. So I think that's probably the bigger stat that I would look at.
All right. In just a little bit, Raphael, I do want to get your thoughts on the latest news out of our neck of the woods, which at this point in time is trending very heavily towards Sean Miller being named the next head basketball coach at South Carolina. We'll get there in a minute, but because round 2 odds are out for tomorrow, I want to mix some of these in. Like North Carolina and Baylor. The Tar Heels are 5.5-point dogs against Baylor tomorrow in Fort Worth.
Yeah, that one's interesting. I like North Carolina. I thought
you like
Baylor
covering or winning?
Winning outright, because how they played yesterday. I was not sold on Baylor this year coming into this tournament. I think I had them being the first number 1 out in that one, and I thought it was because of North Carolina. I think North Carolina is really no one's really talking about them coming into them like we've seen in the past with North Carolina teams. I like the Tar Heels in this matchup. I would not be shocked, again, like as I said, Baylor being the first number 1 out. That could be the case tomorrow.
How about Creighton and Kansas? What is that? 11.5. Kansas 11.5-point favorites.
That's a lot of points. I mean, this one opened up at 10, and money continues to come in at Kansas. So if you like Creighton, see if you can get 12. I would say hold off. I think it's the 240 game, 230 game. I don't have the times in front of me.
Yeah, 240.
So I would wait to see that. If you're looking at Kansas, I think you missed probably the best number you're going to see on a -10 when it first opened up.
Michigan and Tennessee, the Vols are 6-point favorites. The over-under, I'd probably stay away from that, is at 136.
Yeah, I was really hoping I can get 4.5 with Tennessee. Again, really, really hoping, but that didn't come in fact. Again, Tennessee, North Carolina were the 2 best teams I saw yesterday, and I think both those teams advance. I like Tennessee.
Michigan's been on this win one, lose one thing for like 10, 12, 14 games. It's a long stretch.
That's a great point. Yeah, and really, you're right. You're dead on. This one is, with all of the big names we just mentioned, might be the best game of the day. Maybe. Richmond and Providence at 6:10 tomorrow night. Providence, the Friars, they are 3-point favorites. The over-under 134.5. So maybe not expecting a ton of points, but Darren, you pointed out very successfully, as always, yesterday, that Providence plays a lot of close games, and I don't think that this one tomorrow will be any different. The Spiders are fun.
Yeah, Spiders are really fun. I've been high on Providence. Everyone asked me towards the middle of the season what was my sleeper. I said, don't sleep on Providence. And I'm going to say don't sleep again on Providence, even though the Spiders have been playing some great ball. This one goes, whoever wins this one or covers, it's because of free throws late. It has, so I would say, if you like Providence, maybe I think there's one global book that has 2.5. Maybe that's a trend that we might see today or tomorrow. Maybe it drops it. Again, it's the 6 o'clock game. I myself looking at Providence to advance, but right now I probably won't bet it because the number's perfect. Because again, free throws will determine this game.
Great point. West Coast tomorrow night, our time. 7:10, St. Mary's and UCLA. I think Mick Cronin just got a new deal.
Yep.
They're 2.5-point favorites in the game. And you talk about a low over-under, 126.5, everybody. How exciting.
Mary's.
I'm going to say one WCC team wins tomorrow and one WCC goes home tomorrow. Should I tell you who I think it is?
Well, I'm assuming you're about to say they're the team that's going to win and you have Zags losing.
Yeah, I have the Zags losing tomorrow and I have the Gales upsetting UCLA. Why not?
Here's a question for you. I got this from, I don't know, probably VSiN, and I thought it was really good advice. So I'm asking you, in these tournament settings, you just said free throws late. In these tournament settings, if you're looking at unders, betting the first half under as opposed to the game under because of free throws late. Do you agree?
Yes, but I think it all depends on the team you're betting. Some teams
Well,
are
yeah.
just horrible free throw shooters. I mean, like yesterday was an anatomy when you watched the Gonzaga game. Timmy is a really good free throw shooter, but he couldn't hit nothing yesterday. I think they shoot 77 for the team, and they were just horrible. So I would say really look back and see how that team shoots free throws, what their percentage, and who it is. I mean, sometimes that percentage could be guys on the bench that shoot really good that are probably not going to be in the fourth quarter. So look at the key guys' free throw percentage because they're the guys that are going to be in the game, not the guys on the bench that are maybe 90% but only shot 6 free throws for the whole season.
All right, so you've got St. Mary's beating UCLA, and you have Gonzaga beating Memphis tomorrow. So if I said Raphael
Losing to Memphis.
Losing to Memphis. So if I said Raphael, I'm gonna put $100 on the plus 10.5 for Memphis, you'd say, go ahead, do it.
If I had to put money on it, I would probably look at Memphis plus the points. Not the only thing that scares me about the Gales. UCLA is just a very experienced team. Yesterday they fell in a trap of playing with their opponent's style. With the Zips, they didn't play UCLA ball yesterday, and they had a whole bunch of horrible turnovers early in that game. So, but if I had to put your money, that's going to pay for Twins scholarships, or my brother can get them in a Home Depot Cashier College, I would probably take Memphis.
Memphis in the plus 10.5, not the money line.
I don't bet money line. Yeah, I would say hurry up bet.
No, that's not true.
I would not bet that late because I think this one goes to a solid 10. I would not be shot the betting public bets Memphis.
No, it was like 3 times during football season. You gave away free money, basically. You're like, take Carolina in the money line, and you're right every time.
There was the bowl game? It was the bowl game in particular when the three of us were texting and we were joking about it. And you're like, money line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to show yesterday. Someone asked me what was the upset without put a money line bet on it. I said the Peacocks, and so I looked really good yesterday.
Oh man, you sure did. You look somebody is tuned in every word you say today. All right, St. Peter's Murray State from Indy tomorrow night at 7:45. Murray State's an 8-point favorite there. St. Peter's is trying to guys truly slip the Cinderella sandal slipper, whatever it is, on. And continue their run. Right? Are they a Cinderella right now, or that was just an upset? They need one more to be a Cinderella, right?
Yeah, they need one more, and I think that one more is tomorrow. I'm totally blown away that Murray State's at 8. I made this number like 6.
Really?
I think 8's way too high. I like the Peacocks in this one. I mean, they got momentum.
Really?
They're an experienced team. It's not like they have a bunch of freshmen and sophomores running around on the court. So I like the Peacocks this one to do the cover. It would not shock me if they send Murray State home and John Morant's trying to figure out what he's going to text.
Hey, former Gamecock Trey Hannibal was with Murray State. Arkansas and New Mexico State tomorrow night. Arkansas, they survived against Vermont. Did they survive against New Mexico State and the Lobos?
New Mexico State's fun. I mean, they're probably the best college basketball team in that state of New Mexico. It's not the Lobos anymore. It's the Aggies. Everyone thinks
The Aggies. They're the Aggies?
Mountain West. In the Mountain West, they're always here. It seems like New Mexico State's experience in a tournament. Now they got a W in a tournament. So here's another one. I thought this number was just a tad high. I'm going to wait to see if the public does on this. It's the late game Saturday. I think it's the 8:40 game. So I want to say take New Mexico State, but I'm going to see what the line movement does tomorrow.
You're still on a lot of underdogs, and you're not so deterred by what happened yesterday.
No, I said I like Providence. I said I like Tennessee and stuff like that. But I just think some of these underdogs that people think they're underdogs, but just these people never watched St. Mary's. These people never watched New Mexico State, especially New Mexico State, because you guys are reading books to your kids or sleeping already and not watching the Aggies play. So
Hey, what's wrong with that?
I know that's wrong, but you're missing West Coast basketball.
I think you missed the point. My kids read books to me, Raphael.
Yeah, I don't read.
I can't even read.
That's why I had a kid. What's this say?
Hope you're not helping them do their math then.
Oh, no. No. That's not no.
Dude, math homework's getting hard. I'm the one that helps every night. I don't want to go to it's third grade math, and it takes me like 10 minutes to check one sheet.
Yeah, dude. I look at my cousins trying to do their algebra and stuff for their kids sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be Carrie's job. I'm gonna get a night job, like it's like a grocery bagger or something. I ain't doing all that. All right, Sean Miller right now is the leading candidate, and I would say Raphael, based on about 18 hours worth of information. The most likely candidate to be the next head basketball coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. We all know what he's been through. Your thoughts on the hire if it comes to fruition?
Sorry.
He's been pretty successful.
He has. I'll give it that. But I mean, he also comes with some baggage with it as well. So,
what do you think the reaction to the hire would be across the country?
His name got the job. I think that's what I mean. This is a perfect spot where you give a young guy a shot. You have nothing to lose. I mean, it's not like, no offense, South Carolina game. It's not like you're going to cut down the nets next year. I would say get someone a young job, but get great assistant coaches that recruit well and give a shot. Why? There's other guys that's out there that in smaller schools and all that I think can probably do the same type of job as Sean Miller, or maybe even a better job. They just haven't gotten that shot.
Yeah. Well, there's some wonderful names on the list, but right now it appears that Sean Miller's probably going to be the guy. We'll see. We'll see. Things can change, but that is definitely where it's headed. All right. Did we miss anything?
No, I don't think so. Baseball, spring training, baseball started yesterday.
Yeah.
That caught me by surprise when I realized the games were starting. I mean, that was just another cherry on top of my day yesterday.
And sorry, Braves are not repeating.
Yeah, they are. What's wrong with you?
And okay, if that's the case, my Cubs are going to win 100 games this year.
Hey, they might. I mean, look, according to everybody this week, the Braves got better with Matt Olson, so they haven't lost anybody else. So they're going to win.
I do like the Matt Olson pickup, but man, that Dodger lineup.
Yeah. Scary.
You know how many years we hear, man, that Dodger lineup?
And you get the Mets. You have to deal with the Mets.
You know what was nauseating?
They got
watching video of DeGrom and Scherzer side by side as a Nationals fan, watching them in a bullpen. That's gross.
True. That's true. Those guys, they should never honestly lose a game that they pitch. Like they're that good.
It's not.
And I'm not that. You know how I am. I'm not that guy. You can get beat any day in baseball, but when those guys pitch,
it's not fair.
Shouldn't lose.
No,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Toronto Blue Jays win the World Series. You heard it here first.
Oh, they're not winning the World Series. They won't even let people into their ballpark up there.
Good. More hot dogs for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Well, you don't look like you've slept much lately. So not that you look good before, but you definitely don't look good now.
Sleeps for the week. You're gonna send me that bottle of Woodford Reserve behind you to my house.
Oh hell no! That's my Final Four stuff, man. No. Carolina women and men, Final Four. Yeah, you ain't getting that. No, sir.
No love.
I'll send you some Trace or something.
Probably start. You'll send me old style beer, probably.
Yeah, I don't drink beer. Yeah, if I have any beer, I'll send it to you because I'm not going to drink it. That's true.
I don't drink beer either.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Have a great weekend.
Take it easy, guys.
Later. Yeah, there you go. All right, Raphael Esparza, mybookie.ag. 11:32. Time for our final timeout of the day. Thank God of the week. When we return, Derek Scott, he's on the road to Knoxville. We'll get his thoughts on Frank and the basketball program. And, of course, South Carolina is looking to really turn some heads and be the first team in the country this year, and God knows how long, to win back-to-back series versus top 10 teams. College baseball. How about that? Hang tight. We'll be right back. Hopefully, you won't ever need legal help for a catastrophic injury or health issues from a medical drug or device. But if you or a loved one suffers injury or loss, Motley Rice LLC is a nationally recognized law firm that is right here in Mount Pleasant at 28 Ridgeside Boulevard. Thank you, Motley Rice, for sponsoring the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show. Visit motleyrice.com for more. motleyrice.com.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle, and we'll take any trade in any condition. even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan, subject to lender approval.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
It's the best time of the year on the sports calendar, and there's no better place to soak it all in than your spring headquarters. Dog and Duck with 3 area locations in Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. Until May, $5 pints of Wicked Weed Brews and Devil's Backbone. Again, until May. Patio seating, happy hour daily. Family bingo on Monday, the Duck Truck Double Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday. It's the place to be for the best wings in town, the best sports everywhere you look. Dog and Duck, 3 area locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road.
Hey, South Carolina, what's going on? This is Patrick Davis, and you are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Papa Top again. Freak out, yo.
Final segment of the work week on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Thanks to Raphael Esparza joining us in Vegas, and it was good to talk to JR, former South Carolina basketball assistant John Reynolds in hour number 1. But as he pointed out, he's a free agent, and he is willing to negotiate. So if you are a big-time college basketball program and you're hiring, give him a call. We can shoot you his number if you need it. This gentleman is traveling somewhere more than likely on 26 or maybe I-40. I don't know, but he's headed to a beautiful part of the country where I'm headed to next weekend, Knoxville, Tennessee, to call Carolina baseball their second straight top 10 opponent beginning tonight. And Derek Scott will tell us all about that and much more. Hey, man.
How we doing, fellas?
Where are you? What interstate are you
We are on 40. Just got through Asheville a little bit ago, and I think we just made a quick stop at I think it's maybe Canton, North Carolina. Historic Canton, North Carolina. Love when they say historic, and you don't really know what the history is, but I'm sure someone can tell you.
Oh, I can. I go up there all the time. we go to we go to Maggie Valley. I'm going to Maggie Valley next weekend, as a matter of fact, and we spend a lot of time in Canton. It is historic. It's a neat town. So if you want to stop in for a burger or something,
I'd love that, but knowing how traffic on 40 can be, and our advanced scouts on the team bus yesterday said there's about a 30-minute delay just shy of Knoxville. So we're not probably not gonna dilly-dally on that one.
Yeah, there's when you around exit 307 on I-40, Derek, you're gonna have to get off and get back on. They had a rock slide, so you have to get back on.
But you know what? Usually, if there's a problem over here, that what 50-70% of the time, that's what it is. It is it's the rock slide. You're right. That makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want to be the car that's traveling I-40 when the rocks come tumbling down. That's for sure.
This is true.
No, don't be that car.
Oh crap! What, honey? It's a boulder. We're good. Well, hey man, it's so good to talk to you. I know it's been a whirlwind of a week, and we got plenty of baseball to get to. Gamecocks are in the middle of three. By the way, are you riding with Tommy? Is Tommy with you as well?
Of course.
Of
He's
course he
shotgun.
is. All right. So Carolina's in the middle of three straight top 10 series. Tennessee, Vanderbilt coming next weekend. Took down the Longhorns last weekend. But of course, Dick, I'm not going to ask you to get too far in the weeds on this, but I did want to get your thoughts on Frank Martin. We all love Frank. We listened to John a little while ago, and I know everybody hopes the best for him. But hopefully, I don't know if you've talked to him, but just your thoughts on him, and hopefully he lands somewhere on his feet soon.
Well, he will. I mean, that's the thing with Frank. There's never a doubt in my mind that he'll be just fine out of this. I hate it. I hate it for him. I hate it for his staff, guys like JR and Andy Astley and Chuck Martin, so many of those guys, because, the head coach obviously is secure in terms of what takes place financially when a change like this is made. The rest of those guys, they don't have that luxury. And so, there's guys with kids in school who have to be thinking about what's next. And that's always, from my perspective, what gets my attention, and, my concerns are about those guys and their families, and, possible upheaval that comes along with it. But certainly watching Frank last night on television doing the studio stuff, I thought he's a natural there. If that's what he wants to jump into, he'll be great at it. I hope he doesn't have to sit next to Seth Davis too much. That might change his mind about it. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, he'd be great at that. But I also know that his heart, like anyone who's in that business for so long, his passion is coaching, and I can't imagine that will change anytime soon. So what he did here in 10 years is amazing. It really is. He took over a place that was in pretty rough shape, and he built it up methodically, and he did it the right way. And then out of the blue, we find ourselves in a Final Four. And although this team did not ever get back postseason play after that, what he always could do was guarantee you that you were going to be competitive in the Southeastern Conference. You were going to be, as much as not, in the top half of the league. And just, he always laughed about the fact that media day, are you guys going to pick us this year? Because we're going to outperform it, because we always do, because you don't think we're any good. And he would get frustrated. But I think part of that also had to do with what people's view of this program was historically. And some of that, you got to admit, that's been earned. And that's even spoke more positively to what he was able to do to consistently allow this team to either be in the top four and getting a double bye in the tournament, or the top 8 and getting a bye. That's not to be taken for granted. And he just always looked out for his kids in a way that they were always, I think, loyal to him afterwards.
Yeah.
For that. And that's, sometimes the gruff exterior, people lost sight of that. But if you were around the program or just had the opportunity to see how, connected these guys are to him well after their playing days, you wouldn't be. You'd get that. And so that's just, part of the package that was Frank Martin. And I loved working with the guy. I said it on social media. I would have never gotten the opportunity to get back in this business full time without his endorsement, without his support, and I will always be indebted to him for that.
No question. He's going to be missed, man. There's a lot of people, I think, that are now looking back at what he did here, Derek, and maybe much more appreciative of it of that job than they were before. I don't know, but yeah. I listened to him this morning on Teddy's show. He spent about 20 something minutes with Teddy Hefner up there in Columbia. And he said he's trying to coach. So he's got his resume out, and we'll see who hires him, according to Frank. But it was really good stuff. He was really open about some things. And I'll tell you what, anybody that missed it, I'll give a free plug to Teddy here. Go back and listen to what Frank had to say following the Final Four run, the first 2 home games of the following season, how many people were there, and what he thought about it. I think Frank was a little frustrated with some things, but I'll leave that.
Yep. There's no question about that. I can certainly, confirm that was the case at that point in time.
Yeah. All right, Derek. We'll see what happens. Clearly, with the future of the basketball program, we all know that there's a lot swirling out there, and news expected fairly soon on that front. But tonight, you'll be calling baseball up in Knoxville, beautiful Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Now they've done some renovations. They are 30-8.
Not enough. They haven't done enough, JB. Still in an elevator. Tommy and I are going to be testing our endurance, getting the equipment to the press box. But that's personal gripe. Carry on.
You sound thrilled.
Well,
it's really about the last place in the league left that hasn't been replaced or renovated in a manner suitable to SEC baseball.
Yeah.
And I tell you, Tony's got it going over there, so they better get on it. Because,
right.
I mean, Florida's now got a great facility. Kentucky now has a great facility. And here we said, it's just Tennessee. Other than having Lindsey Nelson's name on it, it's not what it ought to be. And they are rocking and rolling right now. I mean, he's got another team that's certainly good enough to go to Omaha. So I'm sure that will be something that is I'm sure it's already on his radar and his list of expectations.
Absolutely. They're 30-8 there since the start of last season, so they don't lose often at home. It is certainly turned into a rowdy atmosphere. If you don't have the answer, you've got Mr. Gamecock sitting next to you, so maybe he does. When is the last time South Carolina, or shoot for that matter, about anybody else, but specifically the Gamecocks, won 2 straight top 10 series?
Yeah, great question. I'll float that to Tommy and get the brain rolling. Tommy, any idea the last time South Carolina won back-to-back series against top 10 teams? We'll let him chew on that one.
Yeah.
He comes up with it.
He's gonna have an answer before the end of this conversation.
He did point out that we have won series against the number 1 team in the nation twice in a season. Because after we beat Texas, we were asking that question: when's the last time you beat number 1 in a series? And Andrew Kiddick was pulled out of mothballs in Illinois, and that phone a friend concept from the old game show. We went that route, and Andrew reminded us that we beat 2 number 1 ranked teams in a series in 2011, I believe.
Yeah,
Florida and Vanderbilt, but
Florida and
I don't
Vandy.
think those are back-to-back weeks. So
No.
Anyway,
no, Vandy was in the middle of the season, Derek, and then Florida wasn't that at the end of the year?
in 11, I don't recall. I know in 10 it was, but I don't remember 11.
Okay. Yeah. Well, nonetheless, we're not playing either one of those teams this go around. It's Tennessee.
Right.
But for the first time in a while, there is a starting rotation that Mark announced. I know Wesley Sweat is now out for a while, so kind of back up on the bullpen side of things. But Noah Hall's going to go tonight. They're going to keep Sanders in that role tomorrow for a couple of different reasons, which makes sense to me. And then Matthew Becker will get another start, and deservedly so, on Sunday after what his performance against the top-ranked Longhorns last weekend, Derek. But they finally get to announce a Friday, Saturday, Sunday rotation. At least there's some comfort in that.
Yeah, and I think you get in the conference play, and there's an expectation that you have to do it. You know, so people just that's how you're expected to operate. And in reality, I don't know that you had a whole lot of choice, because with the way the schedule ended up being configured last weekend with the rain problems we had on Friday and the doubleheader Sunday, you think about it. This week last week we went Saturday, Sunday. This week we go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Next week we go Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
So if you start pushing guys up and having to do it 2 weeks in a row, you might get into a level of uncomfortability of how little turnaround time they're getting. So since Noah pitched on Saturday last week, it stands to reason that he would be asked to move up to Friday, and you're not asking anyone to go from Sunday to Friday, especially knowing the next week you're likely going to have to shorten it up another day to Thursday. So I kind of figured this is where we would land, and it makes sense for this team to do this. It's going to be obviously a big time challenge for Noah to handle this offense. Tennessee's averaging 11 runs a game, but you know he's got the makeup, I think, to not be frazzled so much by the atmosphere he'll be in. First big road test for him, really, and it's certainly first SEC road test for him. And that'll be important that he keeps his composure and has a chance to see if we can keep this first game interesting, because I'm sure Tennessee's going to come out throwing haymakers on Friday night.
Derek Scott, the wonderful voice for Gamecock baseball and basketball. I tell you what, man, as it pertains to Matthew Becker, Derek, last Sunday when the Melendez kid, who you're not saying this, I'm saying this, is as classless as the rest of the Texas program based on the information I got all week long from their trip through the Palmetto State. When he hit that home run, what stood out to me was that Becker did not flinch. And that ball probably hasn't even landed yet. I know they saw a ball hit the top of the building out there. I don't think that was the same baseball that he hit. That ball was tattooed. But he didn't flinch. Matter of fact, he got better from that moment on, Derek. I don't know if anybody's talked to him about it, but you just don't see that often from freshmen when an outstanding player does something like that early on in a game, your first big start, and then you just come roaring right back. You never flinch, and you shut him down the rest of the way. That was amazing.
Yeah, Mark and I talked about it on Carolina Calls Wednesday. I described it as all he did was ask for another baseball. He wasn't focused on it at all, and he struck out the next hitter, their cleanup hitter, by the way, struck him out on 3 pitches. And that, to me, told me a lot about, wow, this kid is not going to be distracted at all by that, and he was not. And then I saw someone tweeting out the video of the home run. Someone wasn't affiliated with either program, just a college baseball account, and talking about, wow, look at this bomb. And Matthew Becker responded to him on social media and made it a point of saying, yeah, it's the last tip they got to. 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. And the person who runs the account gave him the emoji of a fist bump, because there was respect there for how he stood up for himself and how he pitched. Yeah, it was something now. I mean, you give up a 490 plus foot home run and strike out the next guy on 3 pitches. That was a wow moment for me. And then he just continued to stack up wow moments, because he was commanding 3 pitches. Mm-hmm. And that's a step in the right direction, because I don't think he came in here known as that guy. They've had to do a lot of work with him with his off-speed stuff, and give the coaches a ton of credit for that. And of course, the young man gets most of the credit for making it stick. I'm real curious to see that matchup Sunday, because Tennessee's got their own precocious freshman who they didn't expect to be in the rotation throwing on Sunday in Drew Beam. And they're kind of comparable, I think, in terms of stuff and background. So that could be, I'm hopeful that at worst case, that's a rubber match set up, and that could be real intriguing to see how those two manage their first SEC starts. But yeah, that you got to love what you saw from him, and this team desperately needs it. I mean, you're down 8 arms right now, 8 arms. That's lunacy, but it is what they're dealing with.
It is. And, I know they're hoping to get, I think, Brett Thomas back soon, and the Eli Jones kid, I think. And then Bosnick maybe on the other side of that, if possible. But you're right. Yeah, 8 arms is incredible. And then, as it was pointed out to me a few weeks ago, Derek, one of the things they're going to need to do to overcome some of this, it's just the nature of the beast right now with where they are, is they're going to have to swing it. And they did that last weekend. It was amazing. What's really amazing is that out of the 31 hits they had last weekend and toting a .344 batting average against the best pitching staff in the country, only 1 ball left the yard, Derek. That's it. But they hit almost .350 as a team. So they're kind of starting to figure out an identity as to maybe who they're going to be this season from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, and that was supposedly the philosophy that was being embraced in terms of kind of kids you were pursuing, both through the traditional recruiting methods as well as through transfer portal. And give credit to Brant Belk and Kevin Madden for being just what we were told they'd be. So far, that's been the case. They got some gap power, and more than anything, they're competitors in the box. They're not giving away ABs, very low strikeout totals. And, Mark said on the show when we were talking about the Gardner-Webb game, the at-bat he was most proud of in that whole game came from Elijah Lambros, because he picked up an RBI on a fielder's choice. And he said, you know what? He's in an 0-2 hole. He's a freshman. You know, the strikeout there is exactly what would have happened last year when you would have just been like, oh, you just can't make the second out when you got runners on the corners with a strikeout. You got to find a way to put it in play. But then somebody else is saying, yeah, well, pitchers, once they get you to 0-2, they're going to try and throw something that gets you into, you know, a double play ball. Well, Elijah manages to fight off the 0-2 count, puts the ball in play, and then uses the best weapon he has, which is his speed, to beat the Rap, and he gets a fielder's choice, and he gets a run home and makes it a multiple run inning. And you know, I had Mark genuinely excited. When fielder's choice ground balls get you excited, you know you must be a coach. But he was really, you know, happy to see that from the number 9 hitter in his order and a freshman at that. And yeah, I mean, it's a different look, different philosophy for this bunch than what we saw last year. And, you know, that's not a bad thing necessarily if they can consistently, you know, put innings together that are, you know, that are based on just good at bats, contact, and maybe wearing down the opposition and driving the pitch count up a little bit.
Well, I hope they can put a bunch of runs on the board this weekend. Derek, you've already pointed it out. Tennessee, from an offensive standpoint, is outstanding, and it's fairly scary. They hit over 350 as a team. They've hit almost 50 home runs this year in just 17 games, almost 200 RBI. I mean, you name all the stats, they've got them. They've already swiped 28 bags. I mean, they're lethal on the offensive side of the baseball. So going to have to score some runs, Derek. And they also have a guy that hit almost 104 miles per hour on the gun just a couple of weeks ago. You ever seen 104 before?
Yeah. No, I have not. I've seen Rolls Chapman pitch, so I guess I've seen as close as you can to it. But no, you know, the one thing I'll say is, and it may prove to be nothing more than just talk show chatter, but they played a really weak schedule. They had one challenging weekend where they went to the Shriners Classic and lost to Texas, beat Baylor and Oklahoma. Otherwise, really hot garbage. I mean, a schedule full of it. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that we would have all rolled out and, you know, and scored, you know, 15 to 20 as often as they have, but I do wonder a little bit what that will look like tonight when they see SEC competition for the first time. I mean, they're going to be at home, so they're still, you know, very much in an advantage position. But South Carolina these last 2 weeks has been tested much more significantly than the Vols have, and we'll see if that becomes a factor or not tonight and this weekend.
No question. Well, I sure hope that that y'all go up there and get a couple of wins. Have Tommy get on that for 2 reasons. One, we need to know now, but 2, if it does happen, then you're going for 3 in a row next week against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, this thing just keeps adding up. I mean, this is you know how it is. This is Southeastern Conference. Somebody pointed out, Derek, after the Clemson series, they said, "Oh my God, they've got swept." And look at these next 3 weekends. I said, next 3 weeks. You realize the SEC starts, right? The next 11 weekends.
Yeah.
There are no off weeks.
Yeah, Mark referred to it as a super regional every weekend.
Yeah.
And that's what his description of an SEC schedule is. And we begin that now. And in reality, we already have begun it.
Yep. So. Yeah. Well, y'all get up there and get you some grub from Calhoun's. And if you make it to the ballpark, we'd appreciate that. So you can call the game. I'm looking forward to listening to you while I'm watching basketball tonight, Derek. That Ben Joyce kid that throws 103, we asked Wingo about it last week, and his response was this. I mean, shoot. I mean, yeah, dang. Yeah.
At least he didn't say wear it. Like that was the expected response. Just get hit. Just wear it.
That's not a great strategy with that guy, although it's happened a couple times this year. Well, maybe one. He's only hit one batter in 6 innings, so I guess it could be worse.
That poor guy.
But no, I'm with you guys on that. And similar to where Wingo was, I think once you see it for the first time, it may leave you speechless.
Yep.
I mean, it's just not what we expect out of college baseball.
I've never seen that. I've faced Matt Wieters. I've seen 95, 96. I've never seen 100, and I certainly couldn't imagine what 104 looks like. And to Wingo's point, yeah, I get it. You know, he's all every Monday he updates us on their hit by pitches. You know, he's all pissed off because they're not getting hit by more pitches. Scotty, if this cat's in the game and you can get out of the way of it, get out of the way of it. You don't need to wear it. It's okay. All right, Derek. Hey, give our best to Tommy. Travel safe, and thank you for your time. Love talking with you, man. It's a beautiful time to be up in the mountains. So enjoy and go get them.
You got it. By the way, we have found the rock slide. So the driving gets a little slower now. So anyway, guys, appreciate it.
What's it like out there? Is it backed up on the interstate?
Oh yeah. We're pretty much we're doing about 10 miles an hour right now through the mountains. So I assume that means we're close.
Okay. Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting there. Just get off and get back on, and this, that, and the other. All right. Thank you, man.
All right, guys.
Later.
Take care.
There you go. Derek Scott, voice of Gamecock baseball this weekend, and only baseball this weekend. It's been double duty for him for a month. No longer. Thanks to John Reynolds. That was a great conversation. If you missed that, you need to go back and watch it or listen to it. He's a free agent now, but former assistant for Frank Martin. Raphael Esparza, Derek Scott. It's going to be a wonderful weekend. So everybody enjoy. Thanks to Darren as always.
Thank you.
Back to noon on Mondays. We're looking forward to that. We'll see you then. Go to the Dog and Duck and watch some basketball, man.
Never know who you might see. What type of local celebrities and coaches you might see over there.
I can name one.
Just rolling on it.
Yeah. See y'all Monday.